Hey, this is Matt once again. What about 10 videos of the paid request this time for Toby? Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Summer Sam, the 1999 film directed by Spike Lee. Now, let me say this. I'm not the biggest Spike Lee fan. I'm not. I did like Inside Man with Denzel Washington. I thought that was pretty good. I did not mind Black Klansman for what it was. But I don't know if it's the movies or I don't know if it's just his personality. Where so much of his stuff is about race and he'll like pick fights about race that's not there and wasn't there in the first place. Pick up fights with people because of that, whether against Clint Eastwood or other people, and you kind of sit there knowing, Spike Lee, would you shut up? Please, shut up. My God, man. Like a chihuahua going... So maybe that's not fair to his whole filmography, but there's been other films I've seen where it's okay. Like, I'm not big on Jungle Fever. Do the Right Thing was okay. For what I remember, it was okay. Didn't hate it, but, you know. Danny Aiello, I remember being pretty good in it. But he was okay. Forget what the hell the other ones were. This one, I remember when I first saw this, I hated it. I hated this film. And I wasn't alone because I was the cinema store. I think it was like a D-. I don't think this film did the best because it came out, like I said, in 1999, where quite a few films coming out around that time. Before that was, in April, it was like The Matrix, and then summer you got Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. You got The Blair Witch Project. I think Fight Club was the same year, which I did quite like that one. You know, among other films. And I think when I saw the trailer, the marketing material, I thought it was going to be a lot more about the son of Sam. Obviously called the Summer of Sam, but I guess kind of what you would see later in Zodiac. About the Zodiac Killer. It was going to be a lot more of kind of maybe these people who have... I don't know, just more detail about the killer or more detail about these people really do possibly knowing who the son of Sam. I don't know, I thought it was going to be more focus on that. And that is a little part of it, but it's more about kind of the lives of John Leguizamo's character and Adrian Brody's character and how judging someone because they look different goes haywire. Absolutely haywire. I know it's called The Summer of Sam. And I would say some of the better parts of the movie is when it does focus on kind of these things going on that summer that became this boiling point of tension. The heat rising up. And you know, at one point there's a blackout of the power, and people being more paranoid and forming sort of these lynch mobs of who could be the son Sam. Those points I didn't mind, but I felt there was other points that the film could have been a lot more focused, especially for a film that was almost 2.5 hours long. I mean, it was at least, 2 hours and 20 minutes? I thought this is a film that I think could work better with an edit. A severe edit. And take out about 30 minutes of the movie. Now, I will admit, watch it again. Do I hate the film? To be fair, no. I don't love the film, but I would say watch it again. To be fair, I do not hate the film. Again, I think my initial thought of thinking there was going to be more of the son of Sam, which he's they see him from time to time, but him doing a killing that's pretty violent, and then you see his ramblings, then it's back to our characters. But again, it's like trying to do everything. I almost want to say it's a bit too overambitious because of that. That focus, I think, would have made things a bit stronger, a bit tighter, a bit leaner of a movie. And watch it again, weirdly enough, I kind of wish they took all the stuff of Son of Sam out. As in, just show the killings he does and that's it. Don't show his face. Don't show him and his ramblings. Him imagining the dog and the dog talking to him and he's hearing the dog. Don't have any of that. Just have he shoots people, leaves, shoots people, leaves. No one knows. Even as the audience, we don't know who he looks like. We don't know his face. And while audiences know, yes, David Berkowitz. Let's be honest. There's going to be some people that are still going to be ignorant on it, or they're not going to know who David Berkowitz looks in this movie. To play a bit more into the suspense. But also just to help with the tone, where, okay, you're trying to get these insane ramblings of a guy to literally show how he's hearing voices. It's very, like, Oliver Stone, up close, quirky shots, and then again, a dog comes in and starts talking to him, which comes off as, even though this is how the guy's mind really worked, it's hard to do that without looking a bit silly. But then you mix it in with this whole boiling pot of people not accepting someone because they go a different path or because they look different and judging stuff on face value. And again, part of me was like, I would rather have... It tries to focus on too many things. And the idea is trying to be ambitious, trying to be a big, long, epic movie. I don't know if that was 100% to the benefit of it. Now, John Leguizamo stars, and I remember looking at an interview that he said this is his favorite role. Like, it was one of those, they look at various roles they've done, it's on YouTube, and he said this is like his favorite role, his favorite movie. And I do think it's one of Leguizamo's better performances. I would say I do like that. He goes there with Mira Sorvino, they're married, but Leguizamo's a bit too honed in on cheating on his wife. And they'll go out and they'll party and they'll be in a club, but then at one point, like, they imagine they're in the club by themselves. But again, he keeps cheating on his wife. And sometimes they try to hone in a bit too much on the whole sex angle of it all. I just really show how crazy and wild things were in the 70s. So you did kind of, not too graphic, but little graphic bits of sex. You did some graphic moments of violence when the .44 caliber shoots people. You see these big blood squibs and people's heads almost blowing up and stuff. Fairly violent and visceral. That's why I think that would have been more effective to just show that. And then, if the audience knows, the audience knows. But this is not a biopic of the Son of Sam. We're not going to follow his life story. It's just, he's out there, and we just hear from the news. So we're in the character's perspective, where they know, the audience, obviously, because it's so many years later, we know more than the characters, but within the frame of the movie, in a way, we're knowing what they're knowing and what they're seeing on the news. So that's where a bit more into their heads of who could this guy be, who could this guy not be. This is why even more so they're paranoid, because how little the TV, the news gives them, and on the newspaper that they read, and so they come to their own conclusions. And I just think that would have shaved off time, worked on the pacing and concentrate even more on the main characters instead of, okay, cut that, go to Berkowitz being crazy about this dog and imagining shooting the dog, but he didn't really shoot the dog, and up close shots of his face and sweat coming down, like take a shower, did some Colgate, did some shampoo, I don't know. Well, I would say some of the better scenes were between John Leguizamo and Adrian Brody. Because John Leguizamo is with Mira Sorvino. Adrian Brody, who's in the neighborhood back to the day, has come back, but now he's a bit more of the punk rocker influence. He's got spiky hair. At times he talks a little bit with a fake British accent, and people are like judging him and seeing how weird and different and kooky he is. But then after a while, he does drop the British accent, especially talking with John Leguizamo. But kind of their banter back and forth, where you can really buy that they're friends, and at first they seem to care for each other. I would like to have seen even more of that. Even more of that bond between the two, and so you see it loosening more and more as the movie goes along. Well, they show a bit of that, but I would like to have seen even more of that. But again, it's trying to do so many things where, okay, it's showing the way the history, the city is at a wit's end because of what's going on, and then we have the cops, including Anthony LaPaglia, who he goes to the mob guy, Ben Gazzara. At first he's like, what the hell, you expect me to help the cops, and I used to know you, now you're this. And then he tells Ben Gazzara about what is going on with Son of Sam, and how they're trying to get into it, where they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I get it as to what the whole lynch mob party things, but at the same time, you could have just had that be John Leguizamo's buddies, who used to be buddies with Adrian Brody, and just stick with them, when you would still get the sentiment of the lynch mobs, and because they would be part of it. You would still get that notion, you would still get that point, but it's like you didn't need Anthony LaPaglia's top character in this. You didn't need Ben Gazzara in this. I don't think they added a whole lot to the movie. They're not bad actors. It's just I don't think they really added enough to the proceedings and the plot to make them worthwhile, to pad up the running time, pad up the pacing, and take time and strain away from Adrian Brody and John Leguizamo and Mira Sorvino, and then Jennifer Esposito, who knew Adrian Brody and falls back in love with him again. Like, if you just those two groups, those two couples, and you have like the Adrian Brody trying to fit in, and then some of the things he has to do for money, John Leguizamo and him cheating and regretting cheating, but he's still doing it, and then sometimes Leguizamo, Adrian Brody will have these conversations. Those to me were the best parts of the movie. Those are the most interesting parts of the film. Now, just add, the rising tension that it does showcase a bit with the Son of Sam kills and how violent, visceral those scenes are, and then what you hear on the news and the news reporters and what people are saying, and again, it's getting hotter and the power blackouts. I think that would be enough to showcase what you try and go for, the paranoia of the community to judge things too quickly than they should. This Bob mentality. But it's like Spike Lee just try to add more and more and more and more and more. Like this whole beginning and end thing with this guy saying, the city of New York City, today is going well. crime is down, but back in 1977, there's so many million stories in New York City, and this is just one of them. And it ends with that. I don't think you needed that. I don't. To me, it just seemed a bit. Look at me. Look what I could do as a director. Same with him putting his damn self in the damn movie. Like Spike Lee has his tendency to just force himself into his own movies. And he does so in this, where he's a reporter interviewing the black community and getting their thoughts on it. And Spike Lee, number one, is not that great of an actor. I mean, hell, the best acting is probably in those damn Nike commercials with Michael Jordan. He's not a great actor. Stop putting yourself in movies. And that's another scene like, okay, you want to get a different point of view, different community. But at the same time, it didn't add anything because that's really the only time the black community is mentioned throughout the entire movie, is that one scene. It doesn't go any further where you start seeing riots of black versus white or black versus Latino. No. There's Adrian Brody, and then there's John Leguizamo's buddies, and it's not even a race thing. It's more of, why are you looking so weird with the spiked hair, and then later a mohawk, and it's 1977, so John Leguizamo, Mira Sorvino, they don't get the punch scene. They seem like, wow, what's up with these freaks and all that stuff. So race is not even a thing about this. So why even add in the African American community that really had nothing to do with the rest of the plot? Because David Berkowitz had nothing to do with that. That was never Son of Sam's MO or of anything regarding race. It's just, I need to add that in there just because. Just like the guy at the beginning and the end, I need to add that in there just because. I need to add the cops, Anthony LaPaglia, in there just because. I need to add the mob guys doing it just because. I know people like it, they think it's much flavor on the dish, but to me it's like all this art, like, not art, well, in a way arbitrary, just all these other added things, like, no, you get in the way of the center of the story. Adrian Brody, John Leguizamo being pressured by his friends, because he still likes his friend Adrian Brody, but these other people are kind of pressuring him into thinking this way. And then because his marriage is falling apart because of his cheating and drugs, you see he's falling apart. So that's why these people are able to much easier push him into possibly screwing over Adrian Brody's character when he wouldn't before. I do think John Leguizamo did a nice job performance-wise. There are moments where he's showing being scared, thinking the Son of Sam might have seen him, which he didn't, but just that paranoia aspect. Or him trying to beg Mira Sorvino to take him back. I think there's some pretty damn decent Leguizamo sequences with his performance. Adrian Brody, I made fun of him before because I don't think he works best as an action star like in Predators. But I actually thought he was pretty good here. I thought this is one of his better roles. And I'm sure this is a welcome relief for him because I think one of the last films he did was A Thin Red Line, which, funny story for those who don't know about that film. The Thin Red Line. Adrian Brody did that film, and he was the star of the film. Terrence Malick, who has a bad tendency to re-edit entire films, shoot like 10 hours of footage, and cut so much of it out. I like The Thin Red Line, but it's one of those movies that Mickey Rourke did a whole performance that was cut out. I think most of George Clooney's performance was cut out. Not all, but most of it. And Adrian Brody was one of the lead characters. He was cut down so much, I don't think he really had any dialogue. And instead, the director based it on Jim Caviezel and his point of view. And then the worst is they didn't tell Adrian Brody till like when the film, like the press junket or the film's coming out. No one told him. So he's out there promoting this movie, and it's like, I was hired to be the star, and I did all this work and all this dialogue. Now people are going to see me, and you went from number one, number two, at least number two on the call sheet, to you're lucky if you have two lines, if any. Imagine how much of a kick in the nuts that is in terms of ego or anything. You know, you're hired to do a job, and was I so bad that I was like the first or second lead in the movie and most of it was cut out? Damn. So I'm sure this was, but I mean, I've given crap to Adrian Brody, but he did a good job here. I did like his performance. Appreciate his love for songs like Baba O'Reilly, Teenage Wasteland. Which I think this is one of the first times The Who allowed their songs to be used. Now, of course, it won't be the last because they were used in CSI, CSI Miami, all that stuff, but it seemed like before this film they were a bit more picky on how their songs would be used. Just if you offer enough money or enough time, you'd be less picky. So, with the characters getting more into spoilers, at one point, Adrian Brody invites Mira Sorvino and John Leguizamo, hey, we're going to be doing this concert, but then the two of them are scared of all the punt people outside, so they go to Studio 54, where they take a bunch of drugs, there's a big orgy, and even though Leguizamo cheats on her all the time, he sees her setting up and cheating, and then gets bad and angry and hypocritical, going, so is he having the sex with him? Was it better than mine? Was it better than it was with me? And then she finds out, and hey, I know that you're cheating on me, and then later on they break up. The people in the neighborhood more and more think that Adrian Brody is the killer, which of course he's not. Leguizamo is more paranoid. He's upset with his what happened to his wife, leaving him. His friends pressuring him. Now he starts believing maybe Adrian Brody is the killer. Now the ending, I will admit, I didn't remember it being as low-key and in a way tame as it was. I was rather surprised by that. I'm kind of glad they didn't go the typical route, but what I mean by that is, at the last minute, Leguizamo warns him to run. Adrian Brody doesn't know what he's saying. Some of the former buddies beat him up a bit, but then Jennifer Esposito, as well as Mike Starr, the guy in Dumb and Dumber, who's like, guys, 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 while they're doing the most annoying sound in the world. Or he's choking and they give him these pills, but it's kind of find out it's the wrong pills. Mike Starr's been a lot of stuff. He plays Adrian Brody's dad. He scares them off. It's like, what are you talking about on the news? They already caught the killer. And then John Leguizamo looks at him and gives a little something and apologizes, then walks away. And Adrian Brody's still alive. He's beaten up, but he's alive. I guess I was just so surprised because the typical way this would end would be Adrian Brody's character would get killed. Get shot, death. They would give a big sense of life-changing event, of epic dire circumstances that because of the paranoia it led to someone's death. I'm actually kind of glad they didn't go that route because that would seem more the predictable, typical route. So I forgot all about that, so that was actually kind of refreshing. Plus, I didn't mind Adrian Brody's character, so I'm glad he didn't die. And it showcases that really it's. I think they could have. I think Spike Lee could have milked this more, where like he's hurt, but it's more like he's trying to look at John Leguizamo's character, and maybe this moment where he's trying to look at him while Leguizamo's like just keeps looking away. And I don't know, maybe Adrian Brody yelling, screaming, cussing him out, and then Leguizamo. I don't know, maybe there's something a little bit more. But at the same time, it felt almost anticlimactic. I don't know how else to word it. Because then you never know what happened to the characters afterward. You don't know what happened to Leguizamo's character, Adrian Brody's character, anybody else. And maybe it would have been nice to see like what happened to these characters. Like, okay, this is a summer that changed everything for them. Where did their lives go to afterward? Other than assuming, okay, Leguizamo, he's by himself. He has no wife now. The one friend he had, Adrian Brody, he lost. But I don't know, I guess I just wanted a little bit more. I don't know how else to put it though. How else to word it. There's some decent bits of direction in terms of way certain bits of cinematography is used. There are a couple moments of humor that did work for me. Some of them are in the trailer, like the one guy having the paranoid that, oh, I know who the killer is, Reggie Jackson. What? Hey, what does the weapon the guy use? 44 caliber. What's Reggie's number? 44. And just the way the guys give him crap and they get more and more mad at him is like, no, maybe I should put you on the list. Maybe I should put you at the top of the fucking list. That did make me laugh a bit. That did make me chuckle a bit. And maybe that's would have been nice to see between Leguizamo and Adrian Brody, a bit more of a humor. Because Leguizamo can do comedy, so it would maybe nice to have a bit more of witty dialogue that you could create and showcase between Leguizamo and Adrian Brody's characters, so that while other people view him as outsiders, they still have this friendly rapport from what they had as kids, to then make the ending where they separate a bit more tragic because of that. I mean, in a weird way, as dumb as it sounds, I almost felt more bad for when they were the. Remember hanging with the homeboys with John Leguizamo? And it's like there's the Duddy Dud and the two other guys. By the end of that film, they separate. And weirdly enough, that's a film I kind of wanted a different outcome where, oh, it seemed like a fun, guys hang out. Like later on, The Hangover, all these other films. Well, that's a different film, but like people. So that's a bad example. But I'm like, oh man, it ended on kind of more sad route that I wanted. But at the same time, I felt more when those friends fell apart. I felt more tragic for that than when these friends fell apart in this. I don't know, as dumb as that sounds. But like I said, I don't hate the film. Like I said, at times there's some, like I said, good cinematography, bits where it showcases the turmoil going on in New York at the time. John Leguizamo, Adrian Brody's performances. Jennifer Esposito, I did like quite a bit in this. Like I said, if it needed more focus, I think a tightening up of the pacing, some of the more arbitrary things I think could have been edited or taken out. I think maybe Spike Lee just tried to indulge himself a bit too much into this, where a less is more quality I think could have benefited a bit better with this. But that's just me. But do I hate the film like I did back in the day? No. But again, that's just me. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.